check out our streaming schedule for this week. We've got tons of content in terms of the NFL and college football, as we're going live just about every single day this week. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single moment where we go live. And now, on with our feature presentation. I want to take you back 15 years for a second. It's November 15, 2009. It's week 10 of the NFL season. And in a big game between two teams at 4-4 in the Jacksonville Jaguars and New York Jets over at Giants Stadium, the Jaguars find themselves down 22-21 with 1:48 left, facing second down. The Jaguars hand the ball off to their star running back and my personal favorite player of all time, Maurice Jones-Drew, and he has a walk-in touchdown available at his disposal. However, he decides to do the smart thing and take a knee right at the goal line. The reason being, sure, he could score a touchdown to give the Jaguars the lead, but that's not the smart thing to do. The Jets have no timeouts, so if you take a knee at the one, the only way you lose the game at this point is if you somehow miss an 18-yard field goal right down the middle, which is so easy that not even a high schooler would miss. You score a touchdown, and the Jets have a chance to drive down the field and win this game. You don't score, and you settle for the field goal, you win the game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You win the game. It was a super smart play and one of my all-time favorite plays in Jaguars history, and was, at least to my knowledge, the first time a player ever did that with his team either tied or losing. Brian Westbrook did it in 2007 against the Cowboys while playing for the Eagles, but the Eagles were winning the game at the time. Unless I'm missing something, this is the first time it happened with a team tied or losing. But 15 years later, it has since become the norm, and understandably so, because it's the smart thing to do. There is no reason to score if you don't have to. Simply put, there are times when scoring can be a bad thing. But what's not a bad thing is hitting that like button down below, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel. We post every single day about the weird and the wacky history of the NFL, and we have a live stream every single day so I can answer all your questions. So if you like that sort of stuff, then this is the place for you. Thanks in advance for your support as we try and hit 70,000 subscribers. And I bring that scenario up because 15 years later, with the same two teams playing, the Jets have a chance to do to the Jaguars what the Jaguars did to the Jets all those years ago. After this play to Davante Adams gets 41 yards, because the Jaguars had no answers for Adams all day long outside of putting a linebacker on him, which went about as well as you'd expect, the Jets find themselves facing first and goal at the one, and with the Jaguars having just 2 timeouts to work with. You don't have to call another play. You've won the game. Congratulations, Jets. You gotta win. Just take some knees, run down the clock, line up for what amounts to roughly a 20-yard field goal, and you're going to win the game. And you're
in the Jags this season, and they're going to let him score. Not so sure that's necessary.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of New York Jets head coach Jeff Ulbrich. So, you really made the right decision firing Robert Saleh after a 2-3 start, didn't you, Jets? I mean, anyone with a brain could have seen this coming, where a guy with no head coaching experience, without even a bye week to get acclimated to the swing of things, and where a guy being thrown into the fire was going to crash and burn spectacularly. Especially seeing as no coach in NFL history who took over a team with a losing record midway through the season ever made the playoffs and actually turned things around all the way. But if this season has proved anything, it's that Jeff Ulbrich is not cut out to be a head coach at this level. Plain and simple, he does not have what it takes to lead an entire football team. A defense? Absolutely. A whole team? Yeah, he should stick to being a coordinator, especially with decisions like this one. Because not only did this make no sense, but his explanation afterwards made even less sense. Even though the Jets ended up winning the game, it doesn't change just how stupid this decision was. So with that being said, let's take a look at why scoring a touchdown at the goal line with a minute left when the other team does not have all their timeouts left is a really bad idea. By the time this play happened, it was 1st and goal with 1:08 left in the contest. 1st down, and you take a knee. That takes roughly 5 seconds off the clock, taking it down to 1:03, where the Jaguars will presumably burn their 2nd timeout. 2nd down, and you take another knee. That takes roughly 5 seconds off the clock, taking it down to 58 seconds, where the Jaguars will presumably burn their final timeout. 3rd down, and you take a 3rd knee, taking it down to 53 seconds. At that point, the 40-second play clock does its thing, and the clock goes all the way down to 13 seconds, where you will burn your 3rd and final timeout. 4th down, and you're lining up for what amounts to roughly a 20-yard field goal, which any kicker with one functioning leg can make in their sleep. Make the kick, and the clock goes down to roughly 9 seconds. This means that the Jaguars, with no timeouts, are down by 3 points and have to score in 9 seconds. They have 2 plays to either go 70 yards and score a touchdown, or 1 play to get 70 yards and score a touchdown if you decide to kick it off and make the Jaguars return the ball, or they have 1 play to get 30 yards to the sideline and out of bounds, and then have to try a field goal from nearly 60 yards out to tie it. In other words, barring some insane miracle, you will win the game. All you have to do is not royally screw up on a play that will live on in NFL history for just how absurd it is, and you get the victory simply by not scoring and taking 3 knees. Now you might be saying, well, you've got to score there because there is a chance that Anders Carlson could miss the field goal. Take the guaranteed points. And to that I say, come on. I'm not even going to entertain the idea that Anders Carlson could miss from what would be 20 yards out. Wonder the last time a field goal was either missed or blocked from the 3-yard line on or in, which is where this kick would have been? You've got to go all the way back to September 18th of the year 2011. That's right, 2011. The last time a kick that short did not go through the uprights, which was this kick right here in a game between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, it was so long ago that the New York Jets were coming off of an appearance in the AFC Championship, and Aaron Rodgers was coming off of a Super Bowl win. It was so long ago that Barack Obama was still in his 1st term. It was so long ago that Andrew Luck was still in college. Peyton Manning was still technically on the Colts. And Someone Like You by Adele was the #1 song in the country. So no, there was no real possibility that Carlson would connect on the field goal. If you're a freshman in college right now, there's a possibility that you hadn't even started school yet the last time something like this happened. This was a guaranteed way to win the game, and you decided to score a touchdown for some reason. Because here's what happens by scoring the touchdown. Yes, you take a 7-point lead, but now the Jaguars have 2 timeouts to work with and 1 minute and 8 seconds to go 70 yards. I'm not saying the Jaguars have a good chance at doing this, because in case you haven't been able to tell, Matt Jones is a garbage quarterback, but you never know. Brian Thomas is a stud receiver. 1 play to him in space, and you never know what can happen. You can use the middle of the field. You can go short. You have about 8 or 9 plays to get the yardage that you need, which is more than doable, especially seeing as just last week, the Jets had to give the ball back to the Dolphins with little time left for them to run a 2-minute drill offense and try and score. And the Dolphins did just that. So you literally got burned last week, giving the ball back with too much time on the clock when you didn't necessarily have to, since Devontae Adams went out of bounds and stopped the clock in that one. Obviously, no matter what scenario happens, you've got the upper hand. You score a touchdown or you kick the field goal, I'm still taking you guys to win. But in which scenario do you have a better chance at winning? The scenario where the Jaguars get the ball with 9 seconds left and no timeouts? Or the scenario where the Jaguars get the ball with 68 seconds left and 2 timeouts? Do the Jaguars have a better chance at matching your total or bettering your total with 9 seconds and no timeouts? Or with 68 seconds and 2 timeouts? Like, come on! It's basic math! It's a basic understanding of the game. Why even give the Jaguars a chance to touch the ball again? When the announcers were even calling out how stupid this was and how dumb it was to score, that's when you know. I can't play the video because it's too long, so I'm just going to play the audio with a still image of Mark Schlereth dissecting the decision. Because even though I'm not a Schlereth fan in the slightest bit, sometimes he's right on the money. And man, he was right on the money here. Take a listen.
That makes no sense.
Yeah,
it makes absolutely zero sense unless you just don't believe the guy that's kicking field goals for you can kick a field goal from short. This truly makes no sense. But you got 2 timeouts in a minute 5. This is deja vu. What happened to you last week against the Miami Dolphins? And this, to me, is inexcusable clock management. What are we doing?
So that raises the question. Why did the Jets score? We all knew this was stupid in real time. It seemed like everyone except Jeff Ulbrich thought that this was a bad idea. So why did he do it? Well, we got our answer in the post-game press conference when he was asked straight up, point blank, why the heck he tried to score, especially considering what happened the previous week against Miami. And folks, you're not going to believe this explanation. Take a listen.
Taking a knee and then just kicking a field goal?
I did, but at the same time, I wanted to be aggressive there, and I wanted the points, and you know, they were having some success on offense, you know, so I wanted to put the nail in the coffin at the end.
So let me get this straight. The Jaguars were having some success on offense, so your strategy to try and win the game was to give the ball back to the Jaguars offense with a chance to do something. Because the Jaguars were moving the ball, you decided to pick the option that gives the Jaguars a chance to move the ball? I'm sorry, what? Do you realize how absurd that sounds? Seriously, do you realize how absurd and how asinine that explanation is? That's like saying that I'm having trouble with my diet and keeping my weight down, so I'm going to go to a fast food restaurant. That's like saying that I'm having trouble staying out of gang-related activity, so I'm going to go directly to where the gangs meet up. Like, you realize the contradiction there, right? If the strategy was to keep the ball away from the Jags offense because the Jaguars are moving the ball well on this day, then why would you choose the strategy, and quite literally the only strategy, that actually gives the Jaguars the ball back? That alone should disqualify this man from even being in consideration for any head coaching gig in 2025, even if the Jets were undefeated under his watch, because that is genuinely one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a coach say in my life. Also, put the nail in the coffin? You wanted to put the nail in the coffin? You know, there's a way to do that, and that's called, oh yeah, kicking the freaking field goal with no time left. Last time I checked, the nail in the coffin is the dagger. It's the play where there's no chance, none whatsoever, where the other team can come back. You kill their chances of winning. Well, if you kick the field goal with just about no time left, that's the nail in the coffin. Giving the Jaguars the ball back down by 7 with 2 timeouts and over a minute to go is not the nail in the coffin. Gonna give you a newsflash, Coach Ulbrich. If the other team's chances of winning the game actually increase because of your stupidity and because of what you did, that's not the nail in the coffin. If anything, you're removing the nail from the coffin, you're reopening the coffin, and you're putting the guy in the coffin on an oxygen tank. Whatever you think you're doing, I promise you, you're not. You're doing the furthest thing from that. Just a genius decision all the way around from a coach so far out of his element that it's not even funny. I genuinely can't get over how awful this decision was. The game between these two teams behind me right here was one of those games that was surprisingly good, even though both teams are terrible. But still, this decision was just maddeningly stupid, and it benefited the team that I'm a fan of. Granted, I'm not sure I wanted to win the game because it kind of helps if the Jaguars lose out and they get a better draft pick and they fire everyone. But still, the fact that this benefited the Jaguars and I still can't wrap my head around what just happened shows you how dumb this decision was. The Jaguars got a literal gift from the heavens in a game that they had a 0% chance at winning if Jeff Ulbrich just did the smart thing and decided to take 3 knees and kick the field goal. This was just a stupid game between two really stupid and really bad teams. So what did we learn from all of this? Aside from the fact that Jeff Ulbrich is in no way whatsoever qualified to be a head coach, if you have a chance to win the game, and the probability is sky high compared to the alternative, then win the game. If you're scared of the opposing team's offense, and you don't have to get the ball back to the opposing team's offense, then guess what? Don't give it back to the opposing team's offense. It is not that hard. If there are two options, and in one option, the only way for the other team to win the game is by getting a Hail Mary, and in the other option, the other team can win the game with a good drive and plenty of time to work with, then it's probably best to choose the first option. And just because you can score points right then and there, doesn't mean you should. It doesn't mean it's the best option. If the other team is letting you score, it's probably for a pretty good reason. And if you can't recognize that, then you are in no way whatsoever qualified to be a coach in this league. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And check out my other channels, JG8 for the history of college football, JG7 for the history of baseball, and JG9 News, where we talk about all things happening in the NFL. Join me every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll play live NFL trivia for cash prizes. And make sure to join me live, as we're on stream just about every single day. And thanks to all our Patreon members and our YouTube members for helping out the channel. See how you become a member and show your support financially in the description down below.